the Brandon Valley Elementary News Network.
Rally round the flag, boys will rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom. And we'll rally from the hillside, we'll gather from the plain, shouting the battle cry of freedom.
There will not be a lot of jokes today because 700,000 people died.
Mr. Green, actually only 680,000 people died.
Yeah, it depends on how you count, you sniveling little ghoul. But recent estimates are between 680,000 and 800,000 total casualties, deadlier for Americans than the American Revolution, World War I, World War II, and Vietnam combined.
Next, I'm going to tell you about the military draft. As the war went on, volunteering became very unpopular. Because of the decreasing of the volunteering, they had a military draft. The first Southern draft law was passed on April of 1862 and made all able white men 18 years old to 35 years old are liable for 3 years of service. The draft worked poorly and was very unpopular. Although it was unpopular, the North and South succeeded in their main goal, which was to stimulate volunteering. Up next, we have Carson talking about Lincoln's inauguration.
My name is Carson McKelp, and I'm from the Brandon Elementary Network, and today I'm going to tell you about Lincoln's inauguration. On February 9th, 1809, Abraham Lincoln was born. As a kid, Abe lived on a farm. When he grew older, he ran for president because the Republicans wanted him to, and Abraham also wanted to. First, he had to get past William Seward, who was favored to win. Luckily, Abe actually won. Then when he was in official election, he won that too. Then Abraham Lincoln became president. This is Carson signing off. Back to you, Kyle.
You'll notice from this map that not all the states that held slaves were part of the Confederacy. The border states of Kentucky, Missouri, Delaware, and Maryland allowed slavery and never left the United States. All of these border states were critical to the Union. Maryland was north of the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. Kentucky controlled the Ohio River. Missouri was the gateway to the West. Delaware actually wasn't that important. So none of that should be particularly controversial unless you're from Delaware. But the causes of the war, that's another story. The Civil War was about slavery. Actual historians will back me up on this, like David Goldfield, who wrote, "Both Northerners and Southerners recognized slavery as the immediate cause of the Civil War." Also, Lincoln said in his second inaugural address, 1/8 of the whole population were colored slaves, not distributed generally over the Union, but localized in the southern part of it. These slaves constituted a peculiar and powerful interest. All knew that this interest was, somehow, the cause of the war.
Great report, Carson. Up next, we have Peyton covering the South Carolina succession.
Carson, I'm from the Brandon Elementary Network. I've caught up with Peyton here, and he knows a lot about the Carolina succession.
South Carolina was the first state to succeed from the Union. A lot of other states didn't succeed till South Carolina did. They led the way for other states to succeed from the Union. Soon there were 11 states succeeded from the Union, and this is what led to the Confederate Army to lead in the Civil War.
Well, Peyton, thanks. Interesting stuff. Now back to you,
Thank you for
Kyler.
that, Peyton. Up next, we have Clayton with the Battle of Bull Run.
My name is Carson McKelp, and I'm from the Brandon Elementary Network. And I finally caught up with Clayton here, who knows about the Battle of Bull Run.
Good morning. My name is Clayton Crowler, and I'm a second journalist, and I'm here to talk to you about Battle of Bull Run. I'm live here at Bull Run Stream, where the bloody battle is taking place. It is July 21st, 1861. This is a major battle of the armies right here in Virginia. After this war is over, people, families, and friends will be affected. I wish the best for everyone here.
Wow, thanks, Clayton. That was awesome. Carson signing off. Now back to you, Kyler.
Great report, Clayton. Next, we have Willie with the Battle of Fort Sumter.
Hi, my name is Carson McKelp, and I'm from the Brandon Elementary Network, and I've caught up with Lily, who knows about the Battle of Fort Sumter.
Hi, my name is Lily, and I am reporting about the Battle of Fort Sumter. Battle of Fort Summer began the Civil War. In March of 1861, Jefferson Davis, President of the Confederacy, ordered General Pierre Beauregard and his soldiers into Charleston. The Union soldiers had very few supplies. On April 12th, the first shot of the Battle of Fort Summer was shot. Neither side lost any soldiers.
Wow, interesting. This is Carson signing off. Now back to you, Kyler.
Thank you for that report, Lily. Next we have Lucas covering the sports.
Hi, I'm Lucas Birchall. I'm here with the latest sports report. Leisure activities kept soldiers from Denver. They went fishing and they ran and played card games. The activities kept those soldiers going after the war. Even our country's heroes play cards. Many people around the USA played sports. They went horseback riding, also for sport. People played all kinds of sports. We even still play sports people played in the Civil War. All right, back to you, lady.
Nice job, Lucas. Up next we have Jacob with the weather report.
With the weather map report. When gathering into wood, they would face 200 inches of snow and sub-zero temperatures during the Civil War. And when making the daily telegraph reports, observers used special codes. The weather station possessed many threats from native attacks. To provide a picture of the weather conditions across the country, the observers report their reports as nearly strenuous as possible. Back to you, Connor. It's raining cats and dogs. Better get an umbrella. Back to you, Connor.
That's all we have for today. Thank you for watching. Make an impact in the world. Have a great day.
Thank you for tuning into the Brandon Valley Elementary Network. I am Isabella. Our next news story is about the 13th Amendment. On January 31st, 1865, the 13th Amendment was passed in Congress. The 13th Amendment stopped slavery in the USA. People who were against slavery were called abolitionists. The 13th Amendment stands for neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except for as a punishment for crime. It was ratified on December 6, 1865. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery in the United States.
Good afternoon. My name is Taylor Edds. I am a close friend of Stonewall Jackson. He was a leading Confederate general during the U.S. Civil War, commanding forces at Manassas, Antietam, Fredericksburg, and Charlottesville. He was born on January 21st, 1824 in Clarksburg. Jackson graduated from West Point in Mexico. He joined the 1st U.S. Artillery as a second lieutenant. Thomas Stonewall Jackson was a hero of one of the most successful generals during the American Civil War. He graduated from the U.S. Military Academy at the West Point, New York, just in time to fight the Mexican War. He left then at the military to pursue a teaching career. After he left his home in Virginia, Jackson then joined the Confederate Army as fastly forged his career, Fort Fearlessness in Tennessee during the Shenandoah Valley campaign. Signing off here, that was Taylor Edwards.
Thanks, Taylor. Up next is Asher talking about Monitor versus Merrimack.
My name is Taylor Edwards, and today I'm here with Asher, and he's going to tell me about Monitor versus Merrimack.
Hi, my name is Asher. I'm telling you Monitor versus Merrimack. Confederate had built a ship called the Ironclad. It was a battleship. It was the first submarine. The Virginia flying the U.S. Merrimack. To counter this threat, the Union built the U.S. On March 9, 1862, the two ironclads fought off the Virginia coast. Neither ships could sink the other. Still, it was a victory for the North because they kept their blockade in place. But 1 month later, the Union captured New Orleans.
Wow, interesting facts. Now back to you, Izzy.
Thanks, Asher. Now here is Jade talking about the Battle of Shiloh.
My name is Taylor Edwards, and I'm with the Brandon Valley Elementary Network, and today I'm here with Jade, and she's going to tell me about the Battle of Shiloh.
Good afternoon. It is the afternoon of April 6, 1862, and there
is a lot of men here wounded and dead, and there is a Confederate Army for General Albert Sidney Johnston surprised the Union Army. The Army is led by General Ulysses S. Grant. They fought in a sunken road while bullets buzzed through the air that day. It was the first time shooting for most of the soldiers at that battle. This is known as the Hornet's Nest. The Union was near defeat, but all of a sudden more troops started rolling in. The tired Confederates could not hold off anymore, so in case the Union won the Battle of Shiloh.
Interesting facts. Back to you, Izzy.
Was different from previous Union generals in that he was willing to sustain enormous casualties in pursuit of his goal to wear down the South. Because of this, Grant was often branded a butcher, like he was willing to weather incredible losses, including the 52,000 men, 41% of his army, who were injured or killed at the battles of the Wilderness and Cold Harbor. But his grim determination not just to defeat, but to destroy his opponent is what made Grant one of the first truly modern generals, and also the most successful leader the Union found. So Grant's brutal strategy, coupled with the vast superiority in northern resources, suggests that the outcome of the Civil War really was inevitable.
Report, Jim. Next up is Carter telling us about the Battle of Antietam.
Taylor Edwards here, and today I'm here with Carter, and he's gonna tell me a little about the Battle of Antietam.
The Battle of Antietam marked the bloodiest day America has ever seen. The sun was setting when the bullets stopped flying on September 17, 1862. The battle had raged since dawn. When the fighting ended, 12,400 Union soldiers and 10,320 Confederate soldiers were killed, wounded, missing, or captured. Abe Lincoln was making an announcement about the Battle of Antietam being underway. Then after Lincoln said yes, the Battle of Antietam being underway, the battle began and everything fired from the guns. It has recorded the bloodiest day in American history. The battle ended in a draw, but the Confederate retreat gave Abe Lincoln the victory he desired before issuing the Emancipation Proclamation. Then the battle ended on September 17, 1862. 2,300 soldiers were killed, missing, wounded, or captured.
Interesting things. Now back to you, Izzy.
Wow, Carter, fascinating. Now it's Riley with the sports.
I'm Peyton, and today we'll be talking about sports around the USA. Some kids would be playing with wooden toys. They would also go to parks. People would play instruments and sometimes be in bands. Some leisure activities for shoulders. One of many leisure activities is baseball. They would also play football. They would hurt themselves though. They would also box. Back to you, Izzy.
Next is Nicole with the weather, and good job.
Hello, it's Nicole Lawrence here, weather reporting for Brandon Valley Elementary Network. And today I'm going to tell you how the weather affected the Civil War. Some people say the Army used the weather during the war to try to win. They say that when there was like a flood, they would use boats to get away, and other people say that extreme weather like winds and rain shaped companions in battles. But no matter what, the war went on.
Thank you for tuning into the Brandon Valley Network tonight, and I am Isabella. Have a nice night tonight.
Good evening, Brandon Valley Elementary Network. I am Brady Giles, and today we are talking about the Civil War. I am talking about how General Lee surrendered. General Lee was a great commander. He commanded the Confederate Army in the American Civil War.
Lee was meant for war. His appearance was straight, alert, and intelligent. He surrendered to General Ulysses S. Grant to end the war. Now to Faith with the Emancipation Proclamation.
Good evening. I am Zach Moots here today with Faith, who's going to tell us about the Emancipation Proclamation. Tell us about it, Faith.
Hi, my name is Faith Backus, and I have been on the ground here at the White House. I am here to tell you all about the Emancipation Proclamation. The Emancipation Proclamation was a document that led to the end of slavery. Abe Lincoln issued the proclamation January 1st, 1986, when the Civil War was still going on. It symbolized that if the Southern states did not increase their rebellion by January 1st, 1863, then the proclamation would go to effect. When the Southern states did not listen, Abraham issued the proclamation, and it led all the states, and the proclamation eventually ended slavery. Well, I'm done. Back to you. Leading.
Back to you, lead anchor.
Awesome report, Faith. Now to Anna with the weather.
Welcome to the Brandon Valley Elementary Network. I am weather reporter Anna Aristi. First of all, the Civil War happened in 1861. The war started when the Americans fired at Fort Sumter on April 12, 1861. Back then, they didn't have cars, they had horses. The weather felt worse to them than to us. Snow, rain, sleet, and even the heat affected the war. Snow and harsh weather slowed down the soldiers on both sides. In the fall time, the rivers were big. When summer hit, the soldiers died of thirst, and so the number of soldiers fell rapidly. That's all for today. Now to you, Brady.
Thanks for that, Anna. Now to Ryan with the Battle of Gettysburg.
I'm Zach Moots here with Ryan Dahl, who just witnessed the Battle of Gettysburg. Tell us about it.
Today I'm at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where a devastating battle has taken place. At 5:30 a.m. a couple days ago, Lieutenant Marcellus Jones recognized troops from the south and engaged them. The Union Army was slowly retreating from Gettysburg, and they were desperate for reinforcements. When they got them, they overtook the South and they took control of Gettysburg. There were an estimate of 51,000 casualties, including captured, killed, lost, or injured.
All right, thank you, Ryan. All right, back to you, lead anchor.
Now to our President Abe Lincoln telling us the Gettysburg Address.
7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that a nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure.
Resting place for those who here gave their lives that their nation might live. It is other fighting and proper that we should do this, but longer since we can't decide, we cannot we cannot hollow this ground. The brave men living and dead who struggled here have considered it far above our poor power to hand or decorate the world will little know nor long. Remember say here, but we can never forget what they did here.
It is for us, the living, or rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus for so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us. That from these horrid dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave it the last full measure of a devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. That this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom. In that government of the people, by the people, for the people shall not perish from the earth.
Very interesting. Now to Danica with the sports.
My name is Danica Westhoff, and I am here today to talk to you about leisure activities that the soldiers do. Here are some of the activities that they do. First, we have horse racing. They also write letters to home, foot racing, and card playing. They also love betting. Well, that's it for sports. I'm going to hop on out of here. Back to you, Brady.
Thanks, Danica. Now to Curtis.
I am here with Curtis, who has Sherman's March to the Sea. Tell us a little bit about it, Curtis.
The Sherman March to the Sea was a very stressful war because they blew up the town in big cities like Richmond, Virginia. Sherman destroyed crops and buildings, houses. In September 1864, Sherman burned Atlanta, Georgia. Sherman also destroyed railroad centers. 60,000 men went to the Atlantic coast when they were done burning all the cities.
Thank you, Curtis. This is Zach Mootz. Back to you.
1864 saw another turning point that really spelled the doom of the Confederacy, and that was when Union General Sherman took Atlanta. Atlanta was a railroad hub and manufacturing center, but its capture was more significant politically than militarily because it happened close to the election of 1864. And that American election was really the last time that the Confederate States of America could have won the Civil War. It's easy to forget this, but Lincoln actually had to run for re-election during the Civil War, and by the summer of 1864, the war was pretty unpopular, and it looked like Lincoln might lose. The capture of Atlanta changed public opinion about Lincoln, and it meant that his Democratic opponent and former top general, George McClellan, didn't stand a chance of winning, which was really significant for the war because Lincoln was committed to ending it with a Union victory, and McClellan, So spoiler alert, the Union won the war, which in a sense is unsurprising because they had massive advantages. For starters, they had many more people, approximately 22 million as compared to 9 million in the South, of whom 3.5 million were slaves and therefore unlikely to be sympathetic to the Southern cause. Also, the North manufactured more than 90% of all goods in America. Its factories turned out 17 times more textiles than the South, 30 times more shoes and boots, 13 times more iron, and 32 times more firearms. Plus, at the outbreak of the war, the North had 20,000 miles of railroad compared with the South's 10,000. This made it easier for the Union to move its army, which over the course of the war enlisted more than 2 million men compared with 900,000 for the Confederacy. Even Northern agriculture was more productive, taking greater advantage of mechanization than Southern farmers did. Really, the only advantage the South had was better military leaders, like most of the tactically famous generals of the Civil War, Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, Jeb Stuart, etc., were Southerners. And
now to Zach with Lincoln's assassination.
My name is Zach Mootz, and I'm here to talk to you about Lincoln's assassination. Abraham Lincoln was assassinated on April 15th, 1865, but was shot by John Wilkes Booth in Ford Theater watching the famous play Our American Cousin. John Wilkes Booth came up behind Lincoln while he was intrigued by the play and shot him in the head. The next day, Lincoln went across the road to a hotel and died in the bed. Soon after John shot Lincoln, he made a run for it, but was soon captured. Even after Lincoln's death, we still fight for civil rights today. Thank you very much. That back to you, Leah.
Thanks for tuning in to Brand Valley Elementary Network. My name is Brady, and have a wonderful evening.
You're watching the Brandon Valley Elementary News.
shouting the battle cry of freedom. And we'll rally from the hillside till gathered from the plain, shouting the battle cry of freedom. The Union forever, hurrah, boys, hurrah! Down with the traitor and up with the star.